Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. So I won't keep you guys too long. Let me see if I could get this right because I want to play a couple of things for you guys. This is me answering Shay Sade. Shay Sade asked me, and let's do our intros again. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. So this is me answering Shay Sade in her comment, which is my thumbnail, and she wanted me to review one of her videos, which it was a short, and she was speaking about how black women oftentimes forget that they're black until they're checked by a white person, particularly rejected or kind of rebuffed, or maybe not paid attention to by the white guy. So Brad, right? So essentially being rejected by Brad. And so we're gonna go over a few things. I'm gonna play a couple of clips for you guys. Um, for those of you, my longtime subscribers, y'all have already heard some of this, but bear with me. It's really short. None of these things exceed, I think, about 3 minutes is the longest. 3 minutes and 20 seconds is the longest clip. So I'm gonna play this. Hopefully you guys can hear it. If you guys cannot, let me know. So I'm gonna play a couple of clips, but let's play this first, right? So without further ado, let's play this. Let me know if you guys can hear it.
Quick summary of what those findings were of how people interact with each other. So what we found is that race is the deal breaker of all characteristics. It operates more strongly than education, physical characteristics. It is the deal breaker. And one of the things that we often found, and I thought was interesting in interviewing, especially with many of the white men, is this sort of this aggrieved feeling that they were disadvantaged in online dating, and that they were being ignored. And yet, in our qualitative analysis, we find that white men are the most desired of all men. And this has been shown in many other platforms too. So this is not specific to the platform that we're looking at. Our quantitative analysis showed that almost all women or all women of all races and almost all gay men, actually white men did not show this, that their preference was strongest for white men. Now this preference for white men was statistically significant for other races, but especially strong for white women. But I found it really interesting that women and gay men of other races would respond first to white men and only secondly to men of their same race. So on the other hand, when it comes to preferences for women, so if we look at the ways in which straight men and lesbians, who their preferences are, who they interact with, etc., we found that unlike for men, whiteness was not the defining characteristic per se, but the defining pattern was for same race preferences, so contacting others of the same race. Men of all races, lesbians of color do not seem to have a first preference for white women, but their same ethnic group. And unlike straight women and gay men, they're also more open to people from all racial groups, and this is really important, except black daters. So we document a persistent and specific anti-blackness that operates among the sexual preferences of white, Asian, Hispanic, multiracial, straight men, and gay men. We have lots of theories based on our interviews for why this may be, but basically, in terms of why is it that white masculinity is so highly valued, more so than, say, white femininity, because we assume that given racial hierarchies and norms around hegemonic beauty, that white femininity would also be highly valued. But what we find is that white femininity does not carry the same kind of appeal across all groups, in large part due to patriarchy and gender norms, right? So the association with white masculinity is not just associated with sexual allure, but it also symbolizes economic and cultural power in a way that femininity generally does not, right? In our interviews, while there is plenty of resistance to this among individuals, we also see that this sort of valorization of white masculinity is really something that's been internalized and reproduced by marginalized groups as well. That's a sobering finding.
So, and once again, shout out to Shay Sade. So what we're finding is that women of color, you're listening, you hear it right. Women of color are the ones who value whiteness more than men of color. That includes black women, right? So this is mainly based off of online data from a bunch of different online dating sites, right? And once again, what the data is showing that men of color don't put a premium on whiteness. Translation, men of color, including black men, including gay black men, aren't chasing after white validation. So straight black men aren't chasing after white women, at least online, and Gay black men aren't chasing after white men, right? Or any other man of color outside of black men. But black women and other women of color, that's Latinas, that's Asians, that might be indigenous folks also, or indigenous women particularly, are putting a premium on white men's validation. So yes, you're running into white men, particularly the INCELSs of white men, the MGTOWs, the extreme red pillars, the doomers, who all think that women, white women, women of color, are all chasing after Tyrone, or Eduardo or something like that. But in actuality, it's women of color, including white women, of course, that put a premium on white men. So black women, and this is me directly answering Shay Sade's, video. So black women who are putting a premium on white men are not reciprocating. So yes, black women are getting a rude awakening, right? So this whole, which you get often is, oh, I'll just go get me a white man, or I'll go swirl, or open up your options, black women, or we could get Latino men too, and we have preferences too, and it's not all about black men, at least from online dating statistics, and we can see this also through Pew Research marriage data. It's not, it unfortunately for women of color, but primarily black women, it's not reciprocated from men of color. This, and Shay Sade is right. The rude awakening of black women is that they're still black. They're still black. So they can get into those corporate offices. And that's why I often say, and I say it in a derogatory term on purpose, that yeah, you can be the bust down for white men, but the ring and the 2.3 kids in the big house in the suburbs with the white picket fence is probably not going to happen. I say this all the time. White men simply aren't interested in it. This is before we start speaking about black women's weight or maybe their attitude or demeanor. White men do not want to have mixed children in that way. They just don't. They don't want to lose their inheritance, however meager it may be. Their their ancestors did not go around the planet, grape, pillage, destroy, conquer, for them to have a bunch of mixed mulatto children with black women. Unfortunately for black women are going to have to fight white supremacy with black men. There is no other way. The whole scheme of, what we're gonna do, we're gonna sneak and try to get white men to think about this differently or rip patriarchy apart. That way white men won't have any patriarchy to uphold, and then they'll take us. It won't work. I'm sorry to all the radical black feminists. Bell Hooks thought she was doing something with that concept decades ago. It's not going to work. White men are not interested, right? Kim from Fort Harriet, um, that's Kim Foster, attended Harvard. She could tell you there's a bunch of black women attending Ivy League schools, black women from the diaspora and black ADOS/FBA women aren't interested. When they date out, they date Asian women. White men, Asian women are the most common interracial marriage rate in America. You right? And by the way, who you heard speaking was Dr. Jennifer Lundquist, PhD in demography and sociology. This is not some PhD in linguistics or whatever. And I don't say that to belittle people that have PhDs in different fields, but this lady studied this type of thing. This is what she does. And she's a white woman on top of that. So, unfortunately for some black people, it doesn't count unless it comes out the mouth of a white person, right? And so this is me. For those of you that don't know, check the thumbnail for this video. This is me answering Shay Sade, shout out to Shay. Me and her have a really good relationship. I like Shay. Shay's pretty cool, right? So this is me answering Shay Sade's video. She, how to request, and I don't have a problem, you know, answering request. Um, and there you go. Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. So that's the first clip, and I might play it again. Give me a second. I'm gonna play the second clip in a minute. This is why Mr. Z got the voice recorder, y'all. Right? Like, and it is exactly why I bought the voice recorder, so I could do things like this. And once again, unfortunately, women of color put a premium on white skin, and unfortunately for Black women, the premium they put on white skin in particular is not. White men just don't feel the same thing, right? So, and that's unfortunate for many Black women, that they have to be reminded that they're Black um in the sphere of intimacy, right? And so that doesn't mean that there aren't Black women that do get married to white men. That's not what we're saying. We're definitely not saying that Black women aren't having sex with white men. That is not what we're saying also. What we are saying is, when it's time, and I've said this before, unfortunately, when it's time to get married, or when it's time for people to claim you in public, right? Definitely when it's time to show the ring, be married, have children, that's when Black women, unfortunately, and like Shay Sade said, and I agree with her, that's when they're reminded that they're Black, because when it's time to get married, that's when white men remind you, nah, right? And so let me play this next clip. Hopefully you guys can hear it. Let me know if you guys can. And here's the next clip. And I think this clip might be from Chantel Bugs. I think she's a PhD also. FIU, if I'm not mistaken, Florida International University. But let's hear this clip, and here we go.
But like when I was doing my research back in 2015, I was doing this kind of digital ethnography of the site when the blank lives matter question, match question starts to pop up. And since that time, I've seen all kinds of other questions about building a wall, or other kinds of things that are related to the broader kind of social political discourse. And so I think that that's a thing that, as research on online dating, or just kind of dating generally, I think goes forward. I think we need to move beyond just what is your political party affiliation, and I think really kind of get into these other kinds of deeper, I think, aspects of politics, and how that is shaping, kind of how people, as I called it, right, vet each other. But I think also, right, this shaping of what it means to be desirable, because again, right, it seems to be kind of confusing, right, that people want people who are, they'll say they want people who aren't racist, who aren't sexist, who aren't XYZ, right, because that's what you're supposed to want, right? But then they seem to have like this kind of like confusion, or this like disjunction, where they still desire, right, kind of cisgender, heterosexual white men, and particularly with the women that I interviewed, there was a lot of desire for like white men with beards, like this very particular aesthetic that they were like very attracted to.
And so, white men with beards, right? And the disjunction. So what I'm gonna call her Dr. Bugs out of respect. I think she is, right? Dr. Chantel Bugs. What she's speaking to is, once again, white men with beards, the pedestal, right? That women, that's white women, that's definitely women of color, including Black women, put white men with beards on. Why white men with beards? Right? Because beards symbolize some type of power, some type of authority, right? So you have all of these people chasing after a particular image that includes Black women, right? And once again, as Miss Dr. Chantel Bugs spoke of, these people are saying they want one thing. They're saying they want one thing because it's what you're supposed to say, right? But in actuality, the the top is still white men with beards. So this speaks to when Black men throw in Black men's faces, what have you built, right? You're conquered. They're not talking about the Latinos. They're not talking about the East Asians. They're not speaking about the South Asians. They're specifically comparing Black men to white men with beards, white men with authority, white men with power. which the vast majority of white men are not, right? I just said this to a young lady in one of my comment sections. The median income from men never surpasses $65,000 a year in America, and that includes your white men and your Latinos and your Asian men, right? So, tying that to once again what Shay Sade asked, this is what black women are running into. Putting white men on a pedestal, white men specifically, normal white men all the way to elite white men, right? Middle class white men, upper middle class white men, all the way to the elites and the uber wealthy. And then running into the wall that those men are not interested. And the higher up you go on the ladder, the less interested those men are, right? I bring this up all the time. Loving versus Virginia passes in what, 1967? Over 50 years ago. We're working on 56 years now. 55 to 56 years. And in 55 to 56 years, the interracial marriage rate for black women has not eclipsed 5%. The highest it's gotten in one single year was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 12%, right? Much to Crystalline Karazin's chagrin. 12%, right? And that's in one year. But the overall interracial marriage rate for black women is somewhere between 4.5% to 5%. Non-black men are showing you through who they're getting married to what they prefer, not who they're having sex with. We're not speaking about the little bedroom fun you have during lunch break with your white male coworker. We're not speaking about the Latino dude that likes to go down on you after work. We're not speaking about the East Asian guy that you're cheating on your husband with. We're speaking about marriage. We're not speaking about your South Asian boss who you're doing little strange things for some change things for. Unfortunately, ladies, black women, this is the real. This is not Chrissy or Real Talk with Yanni or Paris Milan telling you to open up your options, right? This is not one of those women that the crew brings on that say, "Oh, I could just go get me a white man. I could get anyone." Like they're picking a man off of a tree. No, this is the real. This is the nasty, ugly reality of being black in America and how it affects black women. So yes, black women have more degrees than black men. By the way, all women have more degrees than their male counterparts in America. That's nothing. That's nothing special, right? Unfortunately for the ladies, for black women specifically, it gets even darker the more money you make because you yourself now think you're even though you think you're better than your black male counterparts with no degree, more degrees, more money. Now you think you're even better than your average male black male counterpart and you think you're owed the white man. And unfortunately, now you done priced yourself out of black men and the white guy still ain't interested. Oopsie. So yes, we will see black women celebrate celebrity black women that end up with Latino men or white men or maybe some Asian guy. But all in all, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. White men do not reciprocate, right? The same feelings as black women do, as women of color do. By the way, that the chasing after white men is not a black woman exclusive thing. It's a it's a woman thing, specifically women of color, right? Women of color. Unfortunately, for black women, you're still black in this society, and men across the board, minus black men. By the way, the men respond to the people of their same race first. It's women of color that respond to white men first, and then men of their same color, men of their same race. Remember that when black women speak about their loyalty to you. Are you sure it's loyalty, or are you sure it's not a lack of options? Right? And so let me play this last clip for you guys so I can get on the road and speak to you guys a little bit more. So let's play this last clip. Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. All right. Hopefully you guys can hear this.
I think that these kind of philosophical questions around, kind of desire and intimacy. I was reading a lot of stuff on intimacy as I've been working through this. So, intimacy, I think, is just what does it mean to be intimate with another person? Right? Are there kind of levels to intimacy? And can be, I think, kind of hold perhaps a willing. Sorry, my dog. Can we hold, I think, a willingness to have sex with people of certain social demographics in the same, I think, kind of category as being willing to have a close, romantic, committed relationship with that person, potentially, marrying them. Because I think in U.S. context, marriage is still kind of held, right, as the most, the highest level, I think, right, of intimacy one can achieve, right? It's definitely the most prioritized culturally, even though, right, there's other ways, right, that people have committed relationships. Because it certainly showed up in my research, right, that there was, I think, a little bit more flexibility in who these women were willing to have sex with versus who they would be willing to have committed long-term relationships with. Some of them, that was perhaps more intentional than others. I think some of them, they didn't realize when they were telling me who they had sex with versus who they had, dated seriously long-term, and that there was this pattern. There were definitely a number of women who they didn't realize that was the pattern until they were being asked to kind of talk about it. I feel like the men tend to be a little bit more perhaps aware, I guess, of like their, kind of like explicit sexual preferences. But yeah, I think we have to be cautious about just because you're willing to have some level of intimacy, whether that's friendship or have sex with someone of a different race, that I think doesn't mean that you operate in these discriminatory ways, or even that your desire of them, right, sexually isn't rooted in some kind of problematic logic.
Okay, so we can stop there and let's turn this off for a little bit because I'm going to be using it again in a minute. So, just easy enough to get on the road. I literally just did everything in the car. literally just edited a bunch of stuff and recorded that for you guys and all of that before I left the job parking lot. So, right? Okay, so let's continue. All right. So rooted in problematic logic. So what you're desiring might be rooted in problematic logic. Desiring the white men might be rooted in problematic logic, ladies, black women, women of color, right? We often speak about men's desires and how it might be problematic. Who's talking about women's desires and how it might be problematic? Specifically, when women, that's divestors, swirlers, black women in luxury, black women in general, right, are throwing in black men's faces what white men have built, what white men have conquered, right? Number one. Number two, the concept of these black women not really understanding what they choose to have bedroom fun with compared to what they choose to have a long-term relationship with. And you have to have a sociologist sit you down and say, there's a pattern here, right? You're more open to have sex with all of these different type of guys, but you have a thing a thing for a relationship. And let's be honest, we all know it's women, including women of color, white women also, who will have sex with whoever, but the gold standard is the white man, preferably the white man with a beard, which once again symbolizes authority. Once again, I want us to remember these are women speaking. One of them is a mixed woman, white and black mix. One of them is a fully white woman. And these are women who study this. This is what they do, right? So when we speak about tearing down the patriarchy, shout out to FD Signifier and Khadijah. When we speak about tearing down the patriarchy, we're talking about all the patriarchies of color, right? Because we ain't talking about the white one, because women, including women of color, seem to want to uphold the white patriarchy. That's the gold standard. Oops. They're not trying to let that go. As a matter of fact, they're chasing after the white patriarchs. specifically because they're white patriarchs. Well, maybe if we tear down the patriarchy, which one? Oh, wait, black men in America don't have a patriarchy to tear down. So, what, the white one? You mean the same one you chased after? So, to answer Sade, once again, yes, black women get their wake up call, their Negro wake up call, when it's time to get married, right? Specifically, upwardly mobile black women. When it's time to get married, that's when they get their wake up call. Because the white guy that they've been having sex with for the past 9 months is not interested in nothing on that level, right? And unfortunately for those ladies, that's when the wake up call, that's when they get their wake up call. And that's unfortunate, right? And so Mr. Z agrees with Shay Sade on this. So with all the clips I played for you, and for those of you, once again, longtime subscribers, y'all remember I played those clips with the actual video, maybe a year now, right? It's been a little while, some 9 months, maybe close to a year now. But I had to play it again to answer Shay Sade. Women of color, including black women, put a premium on white men, white skin, white patriarchy, white authority, right? But men of color, right? Men of color do not put a premium on white women, white skin from women. Train tracks, train tracks, train tracks, right? And unfortunately for black women, all the talking, all of the threats about opening their options and dating non-black men, right, and marrying non-black men, and we know they be lying. There was a white man that was the first one to compliment me about my skin tone. It was a white man that was the first one to tell me I was beautiful. We know you're lying. Dear Uchechi from the grapevine, we know you're lying. Okay, you know what? Granted, let's say Uchechi wasn't lying. And let's say, first of all, I still don't believe her. She could bring the white man. I still wouldn't believe her. But let's say she wasn't lying. And is he going to marry you? This is what I levy to the Destinies and the clip on Instagram of the white guy trying to call passport bros racist. Well, it's not Instagram. There's two different clips. There's a clip of one of the white guys that speak up on black issues all the time, trying to go at black men for supposedly insulting black women, right? Then there's the white guy who's calling passport bros racist. Where is your black wife? That's what same thing I have to ask Destiny. Where is your black wife? You could do all the virtue signaling all you want. If you do not have a black wife, not a black girlfriend, not a black woman you're smashing, where is your black wife? Because white guys love doing some virtue signaling in front of black women. Oh, white guys will virtue signal their butt off in front of women of color generally, but black women specifically. And where is their black wife? If you don't got a black wife, I don't want to hear it. This is much of the same reason why black women be thinking, well, I'm going to just go get me a white man. No, the white man is going to have bedroom fun with you. And he's going to virtue signal in front of black men about how we should treat black women, how black men should treat black women. Meanwhile, he will not marry you. The best you will get is him maybe claiming you for a couple years. Maybe. Right? And shout out to Kaneda. And Kaneda says problematic logic or self-hate. Brother, you already know. Right? You already know. Right? And that's unfortunate. So yes, unfortunately for black women, for many black women, not all, but many, they have and let's be very clear, black women already know. They're hoping against all hope. This is when delusion comes in, right? They're hoping against all hope that they work so hard to be able to rub elbows with the white dude and do something else. They work so hard. They got themselves in the right environment. They're in Ivy League now. The white guys walk past them like they don't even see them. Now they're in corporate America. They're sitting next to the white guy in the cubicle. The white guy act like he don't even know. He don't even notice her. Black women know. Black women know. They know. They know. It's the hope and the delusion that please don't think of me like I'm one of them, excuse my language, them niggas, them black men. Please don't treat me like them. I'm not him. Look, I'm in Ivy League sitting right next to you in class, Mr. White Man. Look, I worked my butt off to be in corporate America sitting right next to you. Let me do one better. I'm your boss. Oh, God. Would you think young white dudes ain't smashing some of these black women? Where's the ring, though? We could snatch up every black woman in America, specifically from the South, dump them in the whitest part of America, and see if how many rings you get to compare to how many of the white guys will be willing to have sex with a black woman, right? We already know about the child out of wedlock birth rate for black women. How many white men, Latino men have sired mixed children with black women? It's very unfortunate, right? And Kaneda says, so the 54% of Asian women with those degrees and 100K jobs that marry white men are not racist to their own. Okay, so let's address that, right? And I'm gonna leave that up for a little bit. So it's 54%. It's okay. 39%, something like that. 39% of Asian women are married outside of their race. 54% of American-born Asian women are married outside of their race. But out of those, both the 39% of all Asian women and 54% of American-born Asian women, it's mainly to white men, right? Almost exclusively to white men. So there we go. Now, when we speak to that, that also speaks to women of color, and this is why Kaneda is saying this. This also speaks to women of color putting a premium on white men, right? And now it's a white men's game on who they prefer out of white women, Latina women, Asian women, and that South Asian and East Asian and Southeast Asian women, right? And black women from across the diaspora, both AOS FBA black women and black women from the continent and black women from the Caribbean and Afro-Latina black women, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? It's a white man's game. White men are the ones who's making black women feel this inadequate, especially the black women that get to rub elbows with white men, right? Right? And the numbers are where the numbers are. Unfortunately, for many black women, and like I said earlier, much to Crystalline Karazin's chagrin, right? So, Real Talk with Yanni once again, Paris Milan once again, Chrissy once again, Lexus Exodus once again, Mahogany Pink once again, Divested Zealot, name them. Hashtag Black Women, you can name all of them. Chris Logic, you can name them. Unfortunately for all of these women and all of their subscribers, right? Unfortunately for them, the numbers just aren't showing. And it's not black men or black men's fault. White men specifically, also Latino men, also Asian men are simply not interested. First of all, the marriage rate is going down across America anyway. And as Mr. Z says often, what black women are saying is the marriage rate is going to fall through the floor. But somehow, while white men aren't marrying their own white women and Latino men aren't marrying their own Latinas, the Asian marriage rate is still pretty high, but it's tipping down little by little. Don't worry, give it another decade and a half, and that's going to start falling through the floor also, right? It's only a matter of time. So what black women are saying is mainly because it's white and Latino men that are mainly interacting with black women is as the marriage rate goes down, black women's marriage rate is somehow interracial marriage rate is somehow going to climb out of that, right? That's what we are that's what we are led to believe by all of the women I just listed. And so, Shay Sade's short was not nearly this long, and y'all know Mr. Z is long-winded as hell. So this is gonna go on for a little while. Y'all grab y'all popcorn, right? Well, it's morning time. Y'all grab y'all breakfast sandwiches. Give me a second on the super chats. I am, on the road right now. I will get to them when I get a chance, right? But it's unfortunate for these ladies. You know, shout out to the black women that are in true loving relationships with a non-black person and they didn't go hunting that non-black person. Shout out to y'all that shout out to the black women that are in interracial relationships but are not divestors or swirlers. But unfortunately for you, all of these loud ass women, the divestors and the swirlers, and the I'm with a non-black man because he's better, right? Unfortunately for you, and I remember what is the name of the sister? Oh, her face is in my head. Oh, what is her name? It's a femininity channel. God damn, I forgot her name, but she did her interview a couple years ago with a black woman who is married to a white man. And in the interview, it was her and her white husband, her white husband, her white husband, who are appalled by all of this divester swirler talk. And she said herself, in front of her white husband, she don't know where all these people getting this stuff from, right? And shout out to Better You. Let me see if I can read this before the light turned green. Better You. Better You says they confuse attention and intention. Reality is most men will screw somebody, but they ain't taking them home. Those guys see them as playthings, and that they can ever be till time is up, and that's what they can ever be till time's up. Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, brother. Unfortunately, for these people, I you know I think black women know. I think they're fighting against all hope. I think, unfortunately for them, they think there is some respite from white supremacy in the middle of non-black people's legs, specifically white men's legs, right? I think they think the white men will shield them from being black in America, right? Which means you're gonna have to walk around him or walk around with him, surgically attached to you everywhere you go, and that's just not how life works, unfortunately, right? Number one. Number two, that still won't stop you from a person that is that racist. That there are racist people that are that racist. They'll get on you and your white boyfriend and your white husband. They don't care. The white men that are that racist, they will stomp you and your white boyfriend out, your white husband out, right? Unfortunately for some women, they're just gonna have to find out like that. Some black women, right? And Kaneda says, I was saying the same white men. I think he may be seeing, but let me say it. I was saying the same white men that call black men racist for being passport bros were in their criticisms of Asian women for marrying out such at in a high rate. Okay, yeah. They're never look. I did see a couple of videos of white men reviewing the video showing how the white guy was walking around East Asia grabbing Asian women's hands and all type of stuff in front of their boyfriends, and there were even white men that were like, "Oh crap! Like, okay, we didn't know it was this bad." So a handful, like so insignificant, it's not even. There's no point in even mentioning it. There are a handful of white men that are like, "Okay, this is a thing." But for the most part, let's be very clear. White men know they're winning and they're pretending like they're not, right? And there are some white men that cringe that I'm only winning because I'm white. It's not my personality. It's not my looks. It's not my charisma. It's not my knowledge. I'm only winning with women of color because I'm white. And there is a sense of cringe to that, right? It's I want to be able to do this on my own terms. I don't want it to be simply because you have an inferiority complex as a woman, or you see me as a come up because I'm a white man, right? There are people that want to rise and fall off of their own merits. But for the most part, that's not how human beings work. We'll take it however it comes. And for the vast majority of white men, hey, if I'm winning because my ancestors great pillaged, conquered, destroyed, and even destroyed the minds and the sensibilities of women of color, and that allows me to have sex with them however I want for many of them, and that allows for me to do what I want to do, and for them to always hold out the hope that I'll eventually propose and we'll eventually have our Hapa babies or mestizo babies or mulatto babies. If that's the goal, right? Then if they gotta psych themselves out, so be it. I'll have fun with them as long as I want, right? And there you go. And there you go, right? And that's unfortunate that women of color got to find out like that, but specifically black women, right? I would like to direct y'all to the video of the young lady crying in her car after the frat bro plays her multiple times. And can we say the frat bro really played her, or did she play herself? After the first time, let's grant her the first time. After the first time, and she said she went back to him, and now he's having rough sex with her to the point where it almost feels like grape. Can we say he played her, or did she play herself? Right? So black women will continue to find themselves in this position. And there have been many black female scholars throughout the past couple centuries that continue to think and say, well, if we could just get the white man to legitimize us. Bell Hooks wasn't the only one to say that. If we could just get the white men to legitimize us and to marry us because the women take on the status of their husbands, if we could just get the white man to legitimize us, right? So yes, Shay Sade, yes, unfortunately for many black women, they're going to continue to have to run into the wall of the white men, or yes, the white men are just that racist. I hear a lot of black women who, all we need is one. We don't need all we don't need all white men, right? We don't need all non-black men. We just need one. Yes, they're that damn racist that in over 50 years, black women's interracial marriage rate is somewhere between 4 and 5%. Meanwhile, white men can't keep their hands off of Asian women. East Asian women really started entering America in the early 70s, right? In the late 60s, the early 70s is when you get an East Asian kind of boom. And in that short amount of time, 39% of them and 54% of American-born Asian women are marrying outside of their race, primarily to white men. Okay, let's not talk about white men. What about Latino men? 1% of Latino men marry black women. It's racism, ladies. Before we talk about your weight, before we talk about your attitude and demeanor, before we speak about any of that, it's simply anti-blackness. Period. And that's unfortunate that the ladies got to find out like this. Or is it really finding out, or is it having it confirmed? Rudely confirmed, in your face confirmed, backhand confirmed, because they already know. The hope, the delusion is what keeps them from owning, you know what, I gotta work with black men to fight against anti-blackness. I can't screw my way into anti-blackness. Into fighting anti-blackness. I can't screw my way into that. The non-black men that are not interested, they're really not interested. And yes, they might have some bedroom fun so that they can knock black women off of a bucket list, so they could say, so they could tell Tyrone they're not racist. I done had sex with a black woman, right? But unfortunately, that doesn't mean that these people aren't anti-black and aren't racist. And yes, it is a rude awakening for many black women, right? And I see the super chats. Give me a second and pull over in a second. But that's unfortunate. That's truly unfortunate that black women continue. What about black men? Black men, no. The data already show you black men are not trying to find a respite from anti-blackness in between the legs of non-black women, particularly white women. Black men are not engaging in that. That's not a black man's sport. And it's reflected in online dating data and statistics, right? And Kaneda says, I don't care about white men sowing their oats on these 304s. I am concerned about being called racist by white men for not taking Keisha. How dare him, right? And yeah, they're going to continue to do that, right? But then what I would argue, and this is where you bring up BGS's video, and I'm going to try to find it and link it in the description, where he goes into withering detail about how many black women have children. Black women are the one demographic that has more children than their male counterparts, right? So what does Mr. Z mean by that? White men have more children than white women, right? Latino men have more children than Latinas. But black women are the one demographic that have more children than their male counterparts. Who are they having the children with? So when a white man tries to get on you for not wanting Keisha, you say, does Keisha want me? Number one, and have you been having sex with Keisha? Number two, I don't want your sloppy seconds. Number three. Number four, they're having children with you. Right? And D. Scott says, black women want that Travis Kelce white Jesus energy. Apparently, right? Exactly, Trell. And Trell says, racist? What do you mean? I was smashing big booty Keisha at work. Listen, literally, I know a story like that. Literally. Y'all don't understand how literally I'm being right now. Charismatic lead attorney at a law office I used to work at, married to a white woman who's also an attorney at the law office. He's cheating on her with a super slim, pencil thin white woman, a medium sized Latina whose husband also works at the job, who's also Latino, and a super thick black Haitian woman. He's cheating on his white wife with a white woman, a Latina, and a black woman. Right? So there you go. I literally know a story like that. So shout out to Trell Bentley. Yes, Trell. Yes. Right? And no, GC, I wasn't a paralegal. GC asks, you used to be a paralegal, Z? No, it was more like borderline junior paralegal, but what I did wasn't necessarily paralegal work, right? But yes, I was typing and dealing with papers and all stuff and mailing things out and blah, 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 right? But it wasn't, what was my title? It's so long ago, right? I gotta find my title. I gotta find the name, the title. When I find it, I'll let you know what the title was again. It was like bankruptcy something or another, right? And Trell Bentley said, "LOL, he had the United Nations in rotation, essentially." And it was him and another white dude that were competing, and the other white dude had a mulatto chick he was smashing at one point, Asian chick he was smashing at one point. Bro, it was to the point where one of the you know how a law office will have the names of the actual partners, right? One of the partners had to pull them, hey bro, we don't have a dating service here. What y'all got going on? And it wasn't just the white guys, the black guys were having their fun too, right? Specifically from the file room and the mail room. You know how things get down, right? And the Brazilian cats, the Rico Suave Latinos, but the Brazilian cats in particular. So it was like a three-way tie between the white men who obviously use their position and their charisma. And these white guys were charismatic, to be honest, right? Um, it was the white men versus the black men versus the Latino men. Standard anywhere you walk, any call center, law office, you walk in, standard issue stuff, people. Standard. Yeah, Mr. Z is not telling y'all nothing y'all haven't witnessed if you worked in any major cities call center where it has different races working there, or any like foreclosure mill type law office, or any major or big couple hundred people type of environment, right? So yeah, yeah. But I say this to say black women are going to continue to run into that wall because they want to prove to black men, first they want white validation, but then they want to prove to white men, look, I could do it. And when people want to really look, they will run themselves right off the cliff. The black women we're speaking about will run themselves right off the cliff, right? So unfortunately, we will have more black women attending different universities with some of these non-black men, specifically white men. You have more black women being in these different environments with these guys, working with these guys, going to school with these guys, sometimes having sex with these guys. But once again, when it comes to marriage, right? And that's unfortunate. And thank you once again for the super sticker, Kaneda. I think Kaneda paying it up because I'm pronouncing his name right. He's giving me the two thumbs up, right? Excuse me. It took a while, right? And thank you once again for the super chat, Kaneda. But I'm about to come to a close. But like I said, once again, I have so much stuff that I want to cover. But I wanted to answer Shay Sade real quick. It was a request from one of the women in the excuse me, in the Black Manosphere. Um, like I told y'all, I read your emails. I don't have a problem covering a subject if I think I can do it justice. And I'm gonna play a couple of the clips again for you guys because I know there were some people that came in a little bit later. And let me try to get these clips ready. And I'm gonna play the clips for you guys again. Maybe give a bit of commentary again in between, and then we'll end it out in a little bit. Okay. So why do I feel like I just like it was a class, right? So let's play the first clip, and here we go. For those of you that never heard it before, or who just came in and, well, once again, haven't heard it before. So here we go.
Summary of what those findings were of how people interact with each other. So what we found is that race is the deal breaker of all characteristics. It operates more strongly than education, physical characteristics. It is the deal breaker. And one of the things that we often found, I thought was interesting in interviewing, especially many of the white men, is this sort of this aggrieved feeling that they were disadvantaged in online dating, and that they were being ignored. And yet, in our quantitative analysis, we find that white men are the most desired of all men. And this has been shown in many other platforms too. So this is not specific to the platform that we're looking at. Our quantitative analysis showed that almost all women, or all women of all races, and almost all gay men, actually white men did not show this, that their preference was strongest for white men. Now this preference for white men was statistically significant for other races, but especially strong for white women. But I found it really interesting that women and gay men of other races would respond first to white men and only secondly to men of their same race. So on the other hand, when it comes to preferences for women, so if we look at the ways in which straight men and lesbians defining pattern was for same race preferences, so contacting others of the same race. None of all races of color do not seem to have a first preference for white women, but their same ethnic group. And unlike straight women and gay men, they're also more open to people from all racial groups, and except, and this is really important, except black daters. So we document a persistent and specific anti-blackness that operates among the sexual preferences of white, Asian, Hispanic, multiracial, straight men, and gay women. We have lots of theories based on our interviews for why this may be, but basically, in terms of why is it that white masculinity is so highly valued, more so than, say, white femininity, because we assume that if given racial hierarchies and norms around hegemonic beauty, that white femininity would also be highly valued. But what we find is that, white femininity does not carry the same kind of appeal across all groups, in large part due to patriarchy and gender norms, right? So the association with white masculinity is not just associated with sexual allure, but it also symbolizes economic and cultural power in a way that femininity generally does not, right? In our interviews, while there is plenty of resistance to this among individuals, we also see that this sort of valorization of white masculinity is really something that's been internalized and reproduced by marginalized groups as well. That's a sobering finding.
The valorization of white masculinity, of whiteness, is reproduced in certain groups. Which part of the group? Because if the men ain't chasing after the white women, but the women are chasing after the white men, then who's valorizing whiteness? Dear women of color, who's valorizing whiteness? Dear black women. Whoopsie. Right? A persistent, and once again, these people, including other people of color, downvote black daters specifically online. That includes black women, right? That includes black women. So once again, answering Shay Sade, yes, when they run into the buzzsaw of anti-blackness in the dating world, well, and who's the most egalitarian daters in the dating field? What did Charles Faulkner Jr. tell y'all? Black men are the garbage men of the dating world. The most egalitarian daters in dating, excuse me, that includes straight black men and gay black men. The most egalitarian daters are black men. Because black men actually want somebody that actually likes them. Before we start working on agendas and all that other good stuff. Right? Unfortunately for modern women, we got the internet, which made doing research real cheap, real easy. So that whole narrative of men of color trying to seek validation or get over some inferiority complex they have in between the legs of white folks, right? Between the legs of white women in particular. Yeah, nope. Right? And the whole, well, you the bottom for gay men, the whole you a bottom for a white dude. Yeah, but no. Brothers would rather be with brothers when they live that type of lifestyle, apparently. So even there, nope. Ladies, it ain't looking good. Right? Like I said in a previous video, y'all might be used to playing the dozens with black men. Y'all might be used to making fun of black men and black men make fun of y'all back. Y'all not used to this critique. Y'all not ready for a real cold, calculated, not emotional critique. And this is Mr. Z on my level. Y'all not ready for PhD level academic critique. Y'all are not. Right? So let me play the next clip. Mr. Z got the clips. Y'all should never give me this voice recorder. It's a wrap. Right? Next clip. Here we go.
just what is your political party affiliation, and I think maybe kind of get into these other kind of deeper aspects of politics and how that is shaping, kind of how people, as I called it, right, vet each other, but I think also, right, this shaping of what it means to be desirable, because again, right, it seems to be kind of confusing, right, that people want people who are, I mean, they'll say they want people who aren't racist, who aren't sexist, who aren't XYZ, right, because that's what they're supposed to want, right, but then they seem to have this kind of confusion or this disjunction where they still desire, right, kind of cisgender heterosexual white men, and particularly with the women that I interviewed, there was a lot of desire for white men with beards, this very particular aesthetic that they were very attracted to. So there's kind of all of those aspects.
White men with beards symbolize authority and power, right? The disjunction between what you say you want and what you really want, ladies, black women, right? So, in other words, there's a whole lot of women, white and also women of color, walking around university campuses, walking around America, talking about what they won't settle for, what they don't want, and they want all of it. Translation: the a-hole white dude, they want him. The a-hole, hyper-capitalist, mean, callous, a-hole white man, they want him. They virtue signal to other people, particularly other women, that they're not interested in that. But in reality, these women want Joe Biden when he was younger. In reality, they want Trump when he was younger. They want Trump now. They want Trump when he was younger. They want Bill Clinton. They want George W. Bush. They want Jeff Bezos. They want Bill Gates. They will virtue signal about not wanting. And when I say that, I'm using these men on that extreme level, but even further to the ground, they want those dudes. They will virtue signal about being open to being with your everyday, maybe slightly upwardly mobile Latino, black man, right? But in reality, white men went out just for white skin, off of that alone. And then if you're an upperly mobile, upper middle class or rich white guy, you could pretty much do whatever you want to whatever women you want. Women just don't like people saying that out loud, right? That includes women of color. Women of color don't want to say out loud, yeah, if the white guy if he's a six-figure white guy, yeah, I'm going. I'm out. Skirt. Right? Because it doesn't sound right. It makes them want to cringe to admit that, yeah. Not even 100. You don't even got to be a six-figure white guy. Earn 65,000, you got everything. Right? So black women fall into this category also. If women in America fall into this category, specifically women of color, and then black women even more specifically than that, then it is what it is. The only problem black women have is that now, with easily accessible information and data via the internet, it's harder to keep on throwing in black men's faces, well, you're the one who's chasing after Becky with the good hair. No, not really. Shout out to the brother that sent me the email. Don't worry, I'm gonna make a video about that one too. Oh, you guys can't hear me. You said low sound. Can you guys hear me now? Hopefully you can. I know maybe the mic was too close to the air vent. But yeah, so unfortunately for the ladies, we have easily accessible data now. So it's gonna be harder and harder to keep on telling black men they're the ones who's chasing after white women, when in reality, black women are the women of color. And by the way, you can have your preference. There's nothing wrong with that, right? We are not chastising women for their preference. We're not chastising women for hypergamy. Unlike all the other lefties and liberals, we acknowledge that women, including black women, practice hypergamy the best they can, right? Oh, the playback was low. Okay, let's see. I will play it one more time, and then I'll play the last clip, and then we'll close it on out. Let me play it one more time. Let me put it right next to the mic. Hopefully, you guys can hear it. I'll play it one more time. Wait a minute. Here we go.
But like when I was doing my research back in 2015, I was doing this kind of digital ethnography of the site when the blank lives matter question, match question starts to pop up. And since that time, I've seen all kinds of other questions about building a wall or other kinds of things that are related to the broader kind of social political discourse. And so I think that that's a thing that as research on online dating or just kind of dating generally, I think goes forward. I think we need to move beyond just what is your political party affiliation, and I think really kind of get into these other kinds of deeper, I think, aspects of politics and how that is shaping, kind of how people, as I called it, right, vet each other, but I think also, right, this shaping of what it means to be desirable, because again, right, it seems to be kind of confusing, right, that people want people who are, they'll say they want people who aren't racist, who aren't sexist, who aren't XYZ, right, because that's what they're supposed to want, right, but then they seem to have like this kind of like confusion or this like disjunction where they still desire, right, kind of cisgender heterosexual white men, and particularly with the women that I interviewed, there was a lot of desire for like white men with beards, like this very particular aesthetic that they were like very attracted to. So there's kind of all of those aspects.
So, ladies, unlike the FDs of the world, we acknowledge women's hypergamy in these spaces. We're not actually against it. We just want you to eat everything that comes with it. If you're a woman of color, specifically a black woman, and the white guy's the gold standard, and you work with him and he may have sex with you and y'all chill and whatever, but you don't got no ring, and nor will you ever get a ring, that's on you. You don't get to come back in the black community claiming loyalty because the white guy is not interested in marrying you. And there's been this really weird conflation, or conflating better yet, of loyalty and a lack of options in the black community. Ladies, the white guys are that racist. It's not that you're that loyal, it's that they're that racist. Same thing with the Latinos, right? And Kevin Miller says POC women, people of color women, or excuse me, I'm saying that wrong. POC feminism, people of color feminism, often seems like just an escape from POC men, people of color men, but not white men or other women. And that's a lot of what it is. That's what it. I've said this before. It's a lot of this weird intersectional feminism that women of color are practicing, but specifically black women, seems like a weird way of entering the house of power through the back door, right? In other words, using your victimization, which is real, right, to flip the power structure upside down, right? So the whole, whenever you hear, and you'll see this in liberal circles often, which is like, well, as a dark-skinned, heavy-set black woman, who's LGBTQ and comes from poverty in the South, I think, Mr. Z messed up. Sorry, I said that wrong. I feel. So they're using all of these different air quotes intersecting oppressions to essentially tell everybody else, shut the hell up. Right? That's what that is. So yes, a lot of it is attempting to escape because they see the men. This is one of the most heinous things of white men selling out of the Atlantic, is when women saw their men lose. Women of color pretty much, in a weird way, this is Mr. Z saying this, in a weird way, many women of color swore off their men. It's almost like they're being forced to be with their men, but the goal is the white man. And there's nothing wrong with that. Once again, women, hypergamy, all of that other good stuff. right? The problem is the women don't want to eat the fact that oftentimes men of your same race smell that, right? And they're okay with you going to the white man, but don't come back. If you're the bust down for the white dude, you don't get to come back. And for many years, black women got to play like they weren't getting smashed down or having sex or having bedroom fun with white guys behind black men's back. Like I said before, many of us have the light skinned uncle with the freckles, right? And we don't know whose dad he is, but we know he look a lot like the white tire dealership guys. He has the white tire dealership guy's face, right? He has the white milkman's face, right? He has the white guy that owns the laundromat's face. He has the landlord's face. Ooh, goddamn, Mr. Z, right? And this is the real. It's not whether black women can have sex with Latino dudes or white dudes. It's whether he claims you in public and definitely whether he puts a ring on your finger. Does he do y'all move in together? Do y'all live together? Does he bring you around his friends and family? Right? Okay, it didn't work out. Y'all were together for 3, 4 years, it didn't work out. Did he bring you around his family? Did he claim you? This is my girlfriend. Did he pull his uncle outside and threaten to sock him in the face when his uncle made a slick little racist joke? And did he tell his uncle, I will whoop you and my cousin? Did he do it? I bet you he didn't. How many of you black women are on social media telling the real about how the uncles and the aunts be getting away with saying slick stuff and your boyfriend eat it at Thanksgiving dinner? Ooh, Mr. Z, you went there. And that's for the ones that claim y'all. Once again, going to what Shay Sade asked, this is when black women realize that they're black. This is not Mr. Z necessarily trying to make fun of black women, but it is saying you're black. White men have been showing you with that low ass interracial marriage rate that you're black. Latino men are colorists in their own right. They not checking for the black women back in their home countries, and they're gonna come to America and date and marry black women, right? 1% interracial marriage rate to black women coming from Latino men. They're not interested, right? So Billy, did he tell grandma to sit her old ass down for real? For real. And we talking about the ones that actually claim y'all they don't be going to war for y'all. Man, look, and I got one more clip to play for you guys, but ladies, this is the real. This is the real. You're black. Before once again, before we talk about your weight or your demeanor and your attitude and your disposition, right? Before we talk about any of that, you are a black person in America, and the white guys will remind you when they first of all, ignore your advances when you're at the bar or when you're at work, right? Or when you're out in public. They see you, bro. I worked with white dudes. They see y'all flirting, bro. Ladies, they see y'all flirting with them, right? So first, you gotta get him to advance towards you, Now, if you're going to be the one to shoot out the advances, then you got to hope he acknowledges them, then ask you for your number, then take you out two, three, four times, then y'all make it official, and then he brings you around his friends and his family and call you his girlfriend. Then y'all do that for a couple years. Then he proposes. Not you propose. Shout out to homegirl from Queen and Slim. Not y'all smash on the first night and then you propose when you find out you pregnant. And every once in a while, he throws you under the bus on camera in an interview. Right? Shout out to Better You, Better You. Said Z got the whole production today. Kelsey, cue up Exhibit G. For real. They should have never gave you niggas money. They should have never gave me this goddamn voice recorder. Right? And let me play this last clip for you guys, and then we will end it on out. And here you guys go. Hopefully you guys can hear this. Oh, you know what? I messed up. 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 I played it too fast. I played it too fast. Let's get it ready. Okay, here we go.
Philosophical questions around, desire and intimacy. I was reading a lot of stuff about intimacy. As I've been looking at this, so intimacy, I think, is just what does it mean to be intimate with another person? Right? Are there kind of levels to intimacy? And can be, I think, kind of hold perhaps a willing. Sorry, my dog. Can we hold, I think, a willingness to have sex with people of certain social demographics in the same, I think, kind of category as being willing to have a close, romantic, committed relationship with that person, potentially, marrying them. Because I think in a U.S. context, marriage is still kind of held, right, as the most, the highest level, I think, right, of intimacy one can achieve, right, is definitely the most prioritized culturally, even though, right, there's other ways, right, that people have committed relationships. Because it certainly showed up in my research, right, that there was, I think, a little bit more flexibility in who these women were willing to have sex with versus who they would be willing to have committed long-term relationships with. Some of them, that was perhaps more intentional than others. I think some of them, they didn't realize when they were telling me who they had sex with versus who they had, dated seriously long-term, and that there was this pattern. There were definitely a number of women who they didn't realize that was the pattern until they were being asked to kind of talk about it. I feel like the men tend to be a little bit more perhaps aware, I guess, of like their, kind of like explicit sexual preferences. But yeah, I think we have to be cautious about just because you're willing to have some level of intimacy, whether that's friendship or have sex with someone of a different race, that I think doesn't mean that you operate in these discriminatory ways, or even that your desire of them, right, sexually isn't rooted in some kind of problematic logic.
The men were more self-aware. The men were more self-aware. Say it one more time, three times ago, right? The men were more self-aware. How can I get you to admit something to me if you can't even admit it to yourself? The men were more self-aware of the pattern and of where they were putting different women. Okay, yeah, this is just sex and this is real relationship type stuff. The men were more self-aware. So, ladies, are you even self-aware of why you're really messing with the white dude? Hopes of the mixed light-skinned baby? Or hopes that he's gonna save you from Blackistan and black men? Or you just telling yourself, oh, it's love? Y'all been smashing in the car after work for 3 months. It's love? I don't know. Y'all ain't been on no real official date, but it's love? I don't know. Right? This is the real. Yo, Your colorist queen, your divestors don't have an answer for this. They don't. Because it's not men of color, specifically black men. We're not chasing after non-black women, specifically white women. We're not. And we're more likely to understand why we put different women in different categories, more self-aware. And we're more egalitarian in our dating situation. Whoopsie. Y'all got to come out with new talking points. Y'all got to come out with new talking points. We're not the ones who put a premium on white skin. It's not black men. Like I told FD, brother, if you listening, when I said it, let me say it more clearly because maybe I didn't say it clear enough. You got to talk to the women first. You want to tear down patriarchy? Talk to the women first. And don't come over here to the black community, to black men. You got to go tear down white patriarchy and then talk to the women or talk to the women and have them help you tear down white patriarchy. Have fun doing that. And if there's no longer a white patriarchy, you got to tell the black women and the other women of color because apparently they think that it still exists and they want those white men because of it. And Jay Mills says, LOL, I used to say whoopsie till I realized it was toasty. Yeah, one of my Latino homeboys put me onto that maybe like 3 years ago. He was like, it's really toasty, right? For those of you that don't know, it's a Mortal Kombat reference. So it sounds like whoopsie, but it's actually toasty. And yeah, one of my Latino homeboys put me onto that about 3 years ago, but I still say whoopsie because it just sounds better. It just does, right? Right. And Kevin Miller says, so divestors are black women's ID. Um, there was a young lady. What is her name? Miss Saunders. I think she's married to a white dude. She's on the divester kick, and she very blatantly said divesting is black women's feminism. Very blatantly, right? So yeah, that happened. Right? Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. So yeah, she very blatantly said that. So have fun. You know, if we live in a very materialistic consumer society, right? Very shallow. Um, it's more and more about ones and zeros. Then how did we not expect women of color to idolize white men? How did we not expect that? If you live, they're seeing the white man as the superior product because he's a white man, period. What we thought was that, and when I say we, I mean that loosely. What we thought was that men of color also idolize white women, and none of the data is showing that. Once again, black men and other men of color do not put a premium on white skin, white women. It's black women and other women of color who put a premium on white men, right? Contrary to popular belief. And most of this, once again, is based off of online dating statistics, but from all the different dating websites. If y'all want me to, I could bring up Christian Rudder, who was the white dude that wrote Dataclysm over a decade ago, right? All of his findings say the same thing. Same thing. And he had access to OkCupid, was it, and Match.com and a couple of other dating websites. And he put out his information a decade before Dr. Jennifer Lundquist and over a decade before Dr. Jennifer Lundquist and Dr. Chantel Buggs. But his stuff say the same thing. And there's over a decade long gap. Thank you. Thank you, Trell. They did the math. They did. And that's why Mr. Z is saying Once again, to answer Shay Sade, unfortunately for the ladies, they're gonna have to find out as you're what you like I said, you think you're too better you think you're better than your black male counterparts. Non-black women, so just in case you want to go LGBTQ, non-black women are too damn racist, and then non-black men are also too damn racist. This is why you have so many black women who are LGBTQ, but specifically bisexual, right? Specifically bisexual. And people know, even Richard Reeves referenced it. Come on. Y'all got the whitest of the white man born and raised in the UK that even know how many of y'all are bisexual and the reasons for it. You keep on saying it's love. I'm open to love. I'm open to loving anyone. White man from Britain, researcher, Brookings Institute. Oh, yeah, it's because, well, he didn't say it, but we all know. They earn too much money, blah, blah, blah. We still live in a racist society. Oops. Guess women, black women are with black women now. Right? Mainly bisexual. In other words, if the mythical magical white man comes along, then I'm straight, right? Or I'm with a man. But until then, I guess I'll do the same sex thing. So when I said that to FD signifier, excuse me, I wasn't saying it just to be funny. I never say this because you've said it multiple times, Trail Billy, but I never say it because I'm afraid I'm gonna mispronounce theoletics, right? Instead of mathematics, it's what theoletics. I've seen you and other people say it multiple times. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to say that correctly, right? Well, I gave my shot at it today. Maybe it'll be one of those words I have to work on, like Kaneda's name, right? Mr. Donnie Mac, who I used to mispronounce Mr. Donnie Mac's name also, but Mr. Donnie Mac, seriously though, and Mr. Donnie Mac says they're both bisexual and heteronormative question marks, and apparently that's what it seems like, right? So they're bisexual if they can't get the white man. That's what it seems like, right? So they're heteronormative if they could get either in. It's not only the white man. Let's not be obtuse. If they can't get the baller dude, whether black, Latino, white, whatever, if they can't get their full fill of whatever delusional, hypergamous, super upperly mobile dream they got going on in their head, if they can't get that, then they'll engage with same-sex relationships with a woman. But if they could get the super baller dude, whether white, black, Latino, Asian, or otherwise, then yeah, they're on some straight thing. But if they can't get that, then they're on some bi thing, right? Open up your options to who? Other women? Because you can't get the baller? All right. Right. And that's not Mr. Z saying anything particularly homophobic or anything like that. I mean, you literally have lesbian women, hardcore lesbian women saying like they can we talk about them, right? The stud husbands, the stud daddies, right? The stud stepdaddy who are saying like they're tired of like women that supposedly used to be straight entering into situations with them with 2 3 kids from a different previous relationship with a man, and now she's looking for that lesbian woman to save her, right? And shout out to Gold Professor. Pause for the cause. Y'all already know what Mr. Z is gonna say. Gold Professor, first person to suggest that Mr. Z start his channel, and so we're here now. And y'all direct all y'all hate mail to Gold Professor. I don't know why I chuckle every time I get to that part, but it's funny, right? So, and Gold Professor says, and thank you for the super chat, Gold Professor. Excuse me. Gold Professor says, if black females are the most educated, how come they don't understand the math? Question mark. Exactly. Or is it that they refuse to accept the math? Gold Professor. Gold Professor, we know it's the refuse, man. Okay, and Charles Billy got to spell it out for me. He says, excuse me, feel tis ticks. Bruh, I'm going to get tongue tied saying that every time. I'm not even going to lie to you. Fieldistics. Fieldistics. Okay, there we go. Fieldistics, right? And I had to check a young lady in one of my comments for a recent video, excuse me, um where I had to say and it look, I feel bad. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm gonna have to say feel here. Where's Sheed when you need him? I feel bad having to tell black women you're not the most educated though. Like I don't even like saying it. It feels weird to be because you know they on they high with that, and I kind of want to let them have it, even though I know they like throwing it in black men's faces. I kind of like I want to let them have it. Like okay, yeah, you're the most educated group, but you're not though. What they were really measuring was the gap between the men and the women of different groups, and black women's gap of education compared to black men's was larger than every other group's race of women compared to their men. That's why when black women even say, "Oh, we're more educated than you," well, every woman is more educated than their formally, institutionally educated than their men. In other words, black women are more educated than black men. White women are more educated than white men. Asian women are more educated than Asian men. Women are more educated than Latino men. On the Asian part, I'm not so much sure. I'm almost certain, but I'm not 100% certain. But for all the other demographics, their women are more formally, institutionally educated than their men. That's not a black woman thing. So, yes, black women, unfortunately, you are not the most educated group in America. Now, how often is Mr. Z going to say this? Not often. I don't actually like throwing that in black women. I don't like checking black women with that because the way they say it is so there's so much glee, and you don't want to be the person, right? To be like, at me and BGS had the conversation about actually, and I hate being the guy to have to hit them with the actually, right? Black Guru, thank you. And I thought it, and I didn't want to say it, but Black Guru said it, so I'm gonna say it because I didn't want to say it as to use an example. I've said it before, but let me say it again. So Black Guru says, white former New York Mayor Bill De Blasio's black wife, um, Shirlane McCrae, used to be a lesbian. Exactly. Exactly. Exhibit A. Exhibit A. I'm just saying, y'all. Look, Indigo. You see how to pronounce actually, actually, for real. But you got to say it slow. And when the actually come out, you know that's Mr. Z going into. Oh, okay, I done heard enough. When the actually come out, it's the Mr. Z saying, "Okay, I done heard enough." Right? Just imagine Nameless just pulling out, unsheathing his sword. Swing! It's time to go to battle. It. So there was a little while. Um, my younger sister started to say this. Not the most indoctrinated part, but she stole it from me, right? So my sister got invited and she brought me along to kind of give a speech actually. And she shouted me out. She said, "My brother says this all the time. Are you being educated or are you being indoctrinated?" Right? So she shouted me out, shout out to my younger sister, right? And there you go. And she shouted me out, but she didn't say the whole thing because she knew I was talking about women. She didn't say the whole thing because the room was mainly full of women. She didn't want to go there, and I don't blame her for it, right? But yeah, indoctrinate. And speaking about that, and I'll end out on this note. If we know that black children consume an inordinate amount of television and also social media, then what that also let us know is that black women, if we know that these advertisers are targeting young people, specifically the girls, right? So with girls of all different races, but because black people, that includes black little girls and black women, watch an inordinate amount of television, and consume an inordinate amount of social media content, then yes, quite literally, black women are being indoctrinated more than others. Right? So literally they're being indoctrinated more than other races of people, and then because the way this stuff hits girls and women more than black men and black boys, right? This is why you get the weirdo stuff like, well, these other women don't have to work. Where? Most white people, most white women are Roseanne, not Real Housewives of Orange County. And excuse my background, you guys, right? More going off by me, right? So when they say other women don't have to work, or these other women are stay-at-home moms, once again, it's like 76% of mothers after their children is the age of 5 or something like that work. And even for the women that stay home, it's 72% of mothers work in general, and then after their child is the age of 5, it's like 76%. Y'all should have never let people get the internet and easily accessible data. And you know how easy it is to just destroy all of these weird concepts, notions, old timey wisdom, hearsay stuff that's been going on in the black community for decades. Do you know how easy it is to debunk all of this stuff now? Like I said, y'all need new rhetoric. Y'all need new talking points. Another thing, further confirming that lesbian couples have the highest rate of DV, particularly amongst black couples. And we don't, well, at least Mr. Z, some of the other brothers might be laughing at it, but at least Mr. Z, I don't say that any glee. I say that because when one group has gone so uncritiqued or hasn't really had to deal with a societal critique for so long, they think their ish doesn't stink. And then what ends up happening is they enter into relationships with each other, and because they weren't taught to keep their hands to themselves, you get lesbian DV specifically in the black community amongst black women, right? That's unfortunate. How is it that you're so grand, but when you're in a relationship with another grand person, another woman, it's let's get ready to rumble? How does it turn into that, right? Bruh, if Trell doesn't get Mr. Z's like comedian of my channel award, I don't know who. I mean, there's some really close runner up, but man, Trell gotta get the gold medal. He gotta get the gold medal, right? And Trell says black women act like Peg Bundy from Married with Children, and I just thought about Peggy freaking sitting on Al's lap being annoying as hell, or oh Al, or oh Jesus Christ, oh Trail is the worst. Oh, but yeah, unfortunately, ladies, ending it on that. I hate that y'all making better you right about the fact that I say this at least 3 times before I close out, like I'm a pastor. The fact that better you pegged me perfectly, but um, you know, I should have said pause on that. Pause on that, right? Because of the world we live in. Um, yeah. So on that note, shout out to the sister Shay Sade. Thank you for asking me for my opinion. Um, the video that you did was spot on. It was short. It was to the point. Great job. Um, and this is my super long-winded answer. I guess you could listen to this while you clean up the house. Maybe listen to it while you're taking a nap. right? Um, right. So shout out once again to Shay Sade. Thank you all for listening. This is my long-winded answer to yeah. Ladies, I guess the way you find out about anti-blackness and racism is when the white guy doesn't ask you for his number, or he doesn't claim you, or he doesn't marry you. And that's unfortunate, right? Yes, you are black also. You are black. So, yes, you might be able to enter into academia better than black men. You might have a slightly softer go at it, right? The police aren't on your head as tough, right? People are just a bit more kind to you, just a smidge, right? Like I said, the police aren't as tough on you. The overall society may not be as tough on you because you're still a woman, right? If y'all want to talk about intersectionality, talk about the positives y'all get from intersectionality. Yeah, you're black, but you're a black woman, so the authorities aren't as tough on you. If you're going to talk about the negatives of intersectionality, what about the positives, right? But one of the negatives is that you're still black. And so the white guys who see your advances or see that you're open to an interracial relationship aren't as open to one with you simply because you are black. And race is class in America. Once again, race is class in America, right? And shout out, the brother Kevin Miller said Sade's husband looked out. Yes, he did. Shout out to that brother, right? So I'll end it out here, right? I'll pause right here. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Go check out other Black Manosphere content. Go check out other non-Manosphere content. So y'all don't sound like these sisters thinking that every Latina, every white woman, every Asian woman is chasing after black men. Can we interracially marry better than black women can? Yes, clearly by the numbers. But does that mean that we I'm just gonna go find me an Asian woman? What? I'm gonna just go. Excuse my background, y'all. Sorry about that. Mower going off. Um, does that mean that we could just go find us a white woman? I'm gonna just go find me a white woman. Was you picking a white woman off a tree? Right? I'm gonna go find me a Latina. Was you picking a Latina off a tree? I'm gonna go find me a Asian woman. First of all, you're gonna have to fight the Asian men and the white men for the Asian woman, right? Damn, Big Kev, god damn it, Big Kev. Big Kev always hit me with the, are you gonna have a panel? You know what, Big Kev? Um, let me go inside because y'all know. Shout out to Dr. Thunder. Dr. Thunder, me and Dr. Thunder are both the morning guys, and Dr. Thunder catches y'all before he steps into work. I catch y'all when I'm leaving work, and so yes, Dr. Thunder said, Mr. Z, I think he does third shift, and yes, Dr. Thunder, I do third shift overnight. Um, so let me see, Big Kev, let me go take a shower and everything, go take a nap, maybe wake up to some breakfast. Let's see. You never know. She does it occasionally. Big Kev said I'll put some money on it. Okay. Shout out to Big Kev for the super chat, and he says you're gonna have a panel. Okay, let's see if I do an afternoon panel. Um, maybe sometime after Raj, and damn it, if anybody, do I got Shay Sade's email? Does she even got the time? Somebody send this to Shay Sade. Um, and, and see if she want to jump on the panel later. I might do a panel. Let's say 3ish. Let's say because let me see what time Raj be panels be ending in like in Bernard Riley. So let's say let's shoot for like a 3ish o'clock panel, right? 3ish, 2:45, 3ish o'clock panel, and let's shoot for that. Let's see. Let's see. If not, no, I got to be today actually. Um, yeah, let's shoot for a panel today. Let's shoot for a mid afternoon panel, right? Let's shoot for that. So yeah, Big Kev put some money on it. So he said, I'm paying. Okay, y'all. All right. Because if we do a panel right now, it's too. I'm stepping on toes. There's people that's about to start in a little bit. So yeah, GC said panel at 9 a.m. Y'all, wow. Because you know we're gonna start getting loud and it's gonna start getting fun and whatever. And then I'm not gonna want to end out. I'm on people's toes. I try to give people space, right? So actually, talking about that, I'm pretty sure Dr. Thunder is on right now. So let me end it on out. Give him some space and give y'all some time to recuperate and maybe listen to some of the playback, and y'all could go on check out other Black Minister content, Bernard Riley, the Roger Report, right? So once again, let's end it here for real, for real. I hate that y'all making better use so right. Right? And love, peace, and chicken grease. Mr. Z will pause right here. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content, so y'all don't sound like these women who think that they could just snatch a white dude off of a tree, or Latino or Asian or whoever the hell. And y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Mr. Z out. Good rest of y'all day, y'all. All right.